Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back again today. This is Showcase Day. This is the day we get to show off and to show everybody all of our hard work over this last semester. There's a few things that I want to talk about this morning before we get started, and I've got my little list here, and I'm supposed to stand next to the microphone, so I'm going to do that. I do want to remind you, though, that this is the 47th cohort that's come through here. They started in, 1918? When did you guys start this thing? 1857, just before the Civil War, yeah. This is the 47th cohort that has come through here. There's been almost 1,200 graduates of this thing, and you guys are the biggest and the best and the brightest and the newest of all of this that we've been doing here. So I want to welcome everybody here today. We have you guys who are graduating. We have special guests and some chairs and some deans that are going to be around. And we're all going to get a chance to see the online faculty showcase. Everybody's got a program in front of them, a nice, colorful program. And no matter if I remember to say everything or not, everything is written in there. What we're doing today, what the times are. We're going to be going around and looking at people's hard work. And there's going to be some breaks in between. We're going to know when there's a break, too, because we have some really high-tech stuff that we're doing today. What's the bell? Where's the bell? Yeah. When you hear the high-tech bell, you'll know that it's the 1857, that's right. And the other thing today, you're going to be sharing your information with a lot of people. There's some rooms that are hooked up better than others, and there are some videotape happening as well, too. So I want to remind everybody, if you will, to speak into the microphone. And if you later on, there's going to be some question and answer sessions. There'll be people running around with the microphones like Sally, Jesse, Raphael, and handing it to you. Make sure, because we want to make sure that it's in, they can hear you. What did you say? Well, this marks the really end of 10 weeks of hard work for you guys. Well, some of you guys, it's only been 5 or 6 hard weeks, but most of you guys have had 10 hard weeks of work, and we're going to get a chance to see that. And I have enjoyed being part of this, and it's been great having, where's Ryan? There's Ryan over there being our leader for this semester as well, too. As every time a semester passes and we get a chance to see people, it seems like more and more people are motivated, more and more. And you know, the fact that online learning is growing up while we're doing it is also kind of cool too. This is an interesting time to be alive, actually. It's an interesting time to be an instructor because we are really on that transition zone. You know, there's something brand new. In a few years after we're gone and retired and sitting out on the beach, other people will pick this up and take it somewhere else. But right now, we're the transition generation here, you know? Generation T. You know, we'll get Patsy to talk about that or something as well too. Which means that, you know, there's lots of options out there. I'm going to also try to point out during the day some of our guests, but let me just mention, is Joel Hartman here today? Did he come? Maybe Joel will sneak in later. But it was nice of Joel to speak to us earlier in the semester. And where's Linda Futch? Is she here? Another important person with IDL's here. I want to welcome you. And Mr. Thompson, Kelvin Thompson in the back, Mr. Comedy, and also an important link in the chain here. Where's Mr. Reed? Bob Reed? There he is, right up front there. Best dressed guy in the building, yes, and looking good. And there, you know, there's somebody who, in my opinion, my little humble opinion, doesn't get enough recognition. So I would like to talk about this person, and then after we, you know, get into our first break, let's do a big group hug around her. And that's Pam Cavanaugh. Pam, will you stand up? Because it seems that you are everywhere doing everything about anything, and you're making sure that everything happens. You're the Elmer's glue of this whole thing, and we appreciate you very much. And if we don't get a chance to tell you that a lot, we do, okay? So group hugs for you later on. We'll have some other visitors today. We'll have our web vets, I think, that are going to come around, maybe some web vets in here. A lot of the students who participated, we want to appreciate them too. Our tech rangers, those that answered questions, that helped us sort of figure out what we're doing. The student panel, we'll have some deans and chairs around. You'll see some limousines drive up and people in dark glasses and peek in and parking on the grass and that type of stuff. You know, I work with the School of Visual Arts and Design, and many years ago, I have a son now who's this old, but many years ago when he was young, I taught him how to use a program called Flash. And with Flash, you can learn how to animate, how to make things move around. And when he was in 4th grade, he learned how to use Flash. He could actually animate. He could actually use the technology. He could make something sing. He could make something move around. But the thing about Zach, he was in 4th grade. He could animate something, but he couldn't bring it to life. He didn't know all the things that you know on how something moves and the physics of the real world. Like those people at this table over here, these are true animators over here, and they understand all the squash and stretch and the anticipation and all the things it takes to bring something to life. He understood the technology, but he didn't really understand, he didn't have the life lessons it took to actually make that happen. And I thought about that this morning as well, too, because, you know, what we've been doing here is looking at technology. And technology can really help us in education. Now, we've had radio, we've had television, we've had the internet now, we've had 8-track tapes and cassette tapes and DVDs and CDs and floppy disks and all types of technology that's helped us. But in the end, it really is not the technology that makes it work. It's you guys. It's the instructors. It's your life knowledge. It's what you want to share with somebody that makes this all out. And we've talked about blended classes and using technology because blended classes can be updated all the time. Interaction with students. You know, still standing up and talking to somebody is a lot easier, and you can share a lot of things. It makes it a little bit more difficult with technology. But nowadays we have good quality technology. We have things that help us grade, help us create stuff. Technology sort of moves things out of the way so that we can bring something to life, so that we can talk to our students and share with what, you know, we had. Another thing, I'll tell another animated story. You know, Pixar does, you know, has these great programs to use 3D animation, and Adam and Gideon, these guys over here, they use motion capture. You know, in a room where you put those things on with all the things and you move around and the optical thing can catch you and you can put it on animated figures. But the truth is, this technology, just like when Walt Disney used rotoscoping, does not make it easier to animate. In fact, in a lot of cases, it makes it harder to animate. The technology does not make it easier. We can't just create a class, put the technology up there, and then give it to a grad student and push a button to teach the class. That's not really what this is about. And so I wanted to remind you guys today, as sort of my little message before you guys get a chance to talk, that it's not about the technology. It's about what we do with the technology. It's really about instructors. You know, practically in this class, you guys have learned really a new language on how to share your information technically through distance learning. And technically, you were introduced on all the little goodies and how to make all that work. But you guys are all smart people. You would have figured that out without this class. You know, you could have figured out how to put something up on the internet or how to teach or how to make a video. I mean, everybody in here is smart and valuable as it is now. So it seems to me the real takeaway from this class is not the technology and it's not the language. It's the community of people that we are now part of. It's these people that we hold up a mirror and we can look and say, what are you doing and how can we share this? And these are the people, this is the side of the pool. When we're out swimming, it's these people that we look at and these people that we went through these classes together that are our side of the pool. The people that we can look at and say, are we doing well? Are we messing up? Or how can you help me? Or how can I steal something from you and make it better? Again, I'll remind you something that you already know that we try to tell our students, in that in our life, and certainly in our professional life, it's not about our friends. It's not about everybody over at SVAD. It's those weak links. It's those people that we don't see very often. It's those people in physics and mathematics and you know, writing and rhetoric. You know, that's those little things that we learn about. To me, that's the most important. So, having said that, I will say that the takeaway is the community. We should do one big group hug and we should stay in touch after this because we're the ones that are going to be going forth into this transition, and all those people that you look at, all those people that are sitting beside you are going through it with you as well too. So having said that, I would like to introduce to you one more person this semester, and I'm really glad that he's the last one too, as a matter of fact, because an interesting personality. It's very appropriate, I think, that I introduce him today. This man is always approachable, always smiling, always got a good word to say. I had an opportunity when I went through this course to actually take the course with him, which in itself is unusual because he knows a lot about this already. He is a man of the people. What does Kipling say? You can talk with kings and walk with the common crowd. This man is not just somebody who understands and likes distance learning, but he runs this place. And the one thing about this is that when you have somebody with a personality like that and a love for what they're doing, it sort of trickles down. So when we look at all the IDs and all the other people that help, they really represent the guy at the top who's running this place. And so I would like to introduce somebody who's very special, somebody who made a lot of this important. He's the Associate Vice Provost of distant learning, but we do call him the Queen of the Universe. Mr. Pam Cavanaugh, please. Here, how not? Yeah.
Max reads the introductions verbatim the way I write them. I love Showcase Day. Showcase Day is always inspiring for me, and as he said, you guys are the 47th cohort to go through this, and of all 47 cohorts, you guys are by far the most recent. So, thank you all for being here. I want to, I didn't plan on saying this, but I'll reiterate what Max just said. I was on a conference call this week with a company that's trying to sell us a very expensive piece of software in adaptive learning. But on the call, the gentleman on the other end said, you know, it's just technology. At the end of the day, it's just technology. It's a tool. What you do with it is what makes it education. And so it's your class. Just because it's online doesn't make it good. You make it good. I mean, you can use the technology for good or evil, and we hope that this class is helping you to use it for good. So Showcase Day. I love Showcase Day. I'm always inspired. I will try to poke around and watch everybody's presentations and get inspired and steal all of your good ideas for the courses that I teach. I will take this moment to thank Max. I'm going to turn it back at him. So this is Max's last time serving as the position formerly known as CDL Faculty Fellow. We're not allowed to use Faculty Fellow anymore. It's a long story. But we still feel you're a fine fellow, Max. You are our online faculty training specialist now. We'll just use an unpronounceable symbol like Prince. That'll be you. So I want to thank Max for the last 3 cohorts helping us to co-facilitate IDL 6543. As you may or may not be aware, we redesigned this program about 2 or 3 years ago, and one of the we made a lot of changes to the program, but one of the changes was we added a full-time teaching faculty member to co-facilitate the course so that we could have that, real world in the classroom perspective that all of you deal with on a daily basis. And I personally think it's really, really enhanced the experience for all of you, at least based on the feedback that we get. And I don't know if we could ask for a more enhancing presence than Max Croft. So Max, we have a little token of our appreciation for you, really.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I didn't know if we had this. So as you may or may not be aware, Max is addicted to Tootsie Pops. So this is a Tootsie Pop bouquet. And if he shares them with you, don't take the red ones, because he likes the red ones. Okay, next. A couple of years ago, we introduced a new teaching award, and it's named after our very own Chuck Dziuban here at UCF, who's got a national and international reputation for online assessment. So the Chuck D. Dziuban Award for Excellence in Online Teaching, and we've been really thrilled with the response to that, the people who have submitted their courses, the quality of the courses that we've seen, and frankly the quality of the selection committee. We chose all people who were award-winning faculty, either previous winners of the Dziuban Award or before there was one, people who had won national and regional awards for teaching online. And they choose the winner. It is a faculty peer-selected award. There are a couple of instructional designers and myself that sit on there in an ex officio capacity to sort of help staff it, help with the rubric, and if there were a tie, I would break the tie, but so far there's never been a tie in the voting. And they choose the person that they feel has best represented excellence in teaching online at the university. And then they can also award 1 or 2 or however many they want honorable mentions. They're also not bound to give an award at all if they don't find anybody that they feel meets the standard. And so this year they awarded 2 honorable mentions, Alicia Janowski from psychology and Susan Ricci from nursing, and one winner, Stephanie Vai from the Department of Writing and Rhetoric. Stephanie is here. Stephanie is here. Congratulations. Your course was really cool, and I hope everybody agrees. Let me, actually, I did see some people walk in, so let me recognize them. I saw your chair, Elizabeth Wardle is here, and Mike Johnson, Dean of College of Sciences. Did I miss anybody? Oh, Lynn Hefner from Arts and Humanities, and Reed Ochin from COPA. All right, thank you all for coming. Those are the guys that are in the oh, Jason, I'm sorry. Those are the ones that Max said are in the dark limos parked on the grass. So if you see that outside. So Stephanie, thank you so much for submitting and for all the work you do for online students. One of the members of the committee drafted up just sort of a brief explanation about why you won. This is from Amy Gregory in the College of Rosen, who won an award at last year's Sloan Online Teaching Conference. Dr. Vai's Current Topics in Professional Writing course exemplifies the creation of a pedagogically sound course through the incorporation of clear starting points, progression paths, and pleasantly organized content that incorporates interaction on multiple levels while leveraging the university's student support organizations such as UCF Service Desk, SDS, etc. Dr. Vai has utilized various visual, textual, and auditory activities to enhance student learning while being mindful of accessibility for all students. Finally, Dr. Vai's ENC5930 course is a stellar example of application-based learning with current student-oriented technology that allows students to learn the material while applying real-world skills. And if you can all do that, you all too can win the Chuck Dziuban Award for Teaching Excellence. So we have a little certificate and letter for your personnel file for permanent record, and perhaps even more fun, iPad. Yeah, you're welcome. Stephanie has also won, behind door number 2, registration to the Sloan ALN Asynchronous Learning Conference here in Orlando in the fall. So I'm going to ask you to remind me come the fall, because poor Pavel, who won last year, we forgot to register Pavel. So Pavel's going this year. He still gets his prize. So maybe the two of you can do a joint presentation or something, submit a proposal. So you all need to be my performance support system and help me remember to make sure you guys get registered. So Stephanie has agreed to show you the course that won and answer questions, and I hope that you are as inspired as I am by her work. Thank you.
So I'm very happy to be here today, and congratulations to all of you that are, IDL graduates now. I hope you're excited about going in and teaching your online course. Either it's coming up very soon or it will be coming up hopefully for you in the future. So I was sitting there not too long ago, and I remember that kind of excitement about having my course coming up. So congratulations to you guys. And then I also wanted to thank the committee and also to Wendy Howard, who was my instructional designer. And without her really pushing me throughout the creation of my course and also just to even submit my course for this award, I wouldn't have won. So thank you especially, Wendy, for that. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of this class is that for me, as somebody who teaches writing, I was really wanting to find ways to create a community of scholars, to create a community of writers in my class. And so every choice that I made in putting together my online course was really about, will this help create a community? And will this help bring the students together? And will this allow them to feel like they're part of a class and not just going through the motions? So I really tried to create the community in the classroom, and by doing so, I also wanted to create clarity and consistency throughout. So the things that I want to show you today are just highlights, but they're things that worked really well for me, and you guys have probably been told, like, steal, modify, steal anything that I've done, modify it, and if it worked really well for you and you do something cool with it, tell me, so that then I can re-steal it back and reuse it for my class. So on my course homepage, one of the things that I'm proud of is the fact that we have been using Twitter throughout the class. And I've asked my students to use Twitter as part of that community building. And so you can see here we have a course hashtag ENC5930, and here are some of my students. You can see that as frequently and as recently as 2 hours ago, students have been tweeting. And this wasn't something that I told them like do X number or do it every week. It was basically, this is part of our community. I urge you to tweet at appropriate moments, and they have really run with it and they have taken it off. So putting this embedded Twitter widget in here was a way for them to be able to just see visually all the responses that are going on in our class. And I've really enjoyed, being able to respond back to the students. You can see that I was actively tweeting with them as well. And we'll talk about the memes in a little bit too. There's a reason that there's internet memes embedded in our Twitter feed. So one of the other things that I really tried to do to create a sense of community from day one was to do a brief introduction video. And you guys have the really wonderful resource of Video at CDL to create these nice professionally designed videos. And so I just want to show you really briefly a little bit about this video, just so that you can see how nice it's put together for them. And this is the first thing that the students are going to see about me. Hello, and welcome to our online class. I'm excited that you're here to learn more about professional writing. Throughout the semester, I want to encourage you to get to know me better. And this introduction video is one of the first ways I invite you to learn more about me. I'm Dr. Stephanie Vai, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Writing and Rhetoric. My academic research looks at the impact of technology on literacy. So I'll just stop it right there, but you get a sense that CDL has put together this really nice video. It introduces me. It talks a little bit about my research. Below, I ask them, if you want to learn more about me, here are places that you can go to. You can go to my academia.edu page. Because this was a course on social networks and social media, I've tried to embed sociality and community at multiple points. So starting with Module 1 and throughout the rest of the course, that's really an emphasis, again, to create the community, consistency, and clarity for the students. If I can leave you with anything, it's those 3 C's, community, clarity, and consistency for your students. So jumping into the modules, I really tried to make it clear and easy for students to go through and understand where they were going, where they would end up, and what's coming up next. And you may notice this looks a lot like the IDL class in terms of getting started, summary, and looking ahead, things like that. So when we start off each week, they have an introduction of what are we going to be doing this week, what are you going to complete at the end of this module, and what are your due dates and how do you get started. And so progressing through, it should be really clear and easy for them to understand what they're doing. I'm just going to skip through some of these things here and move into another part that I think was really important and useful for creating community in our class, and that is to have them start from the very beginning with some readings that ask them to orient themselves in the content of the class. So we began with an article called What is Professional About Professional Communication? Here we are in this class that's Current Topics in Professional Writing, and they need to know, well, what is professional writing? What is professional communication? So we began right away with thinking about how do professionals in the field orient themselves. I also wanted them to orient themselves to social media, and so we were reading a book by Eric Qualman, Socialnomics, and he had this very nice video that introduces students to the state of social media in 2013. So I had them read that Faber piece on professional communication. I had them watch Qualman's piece on the state of social media, and then each week they would move into a discussion post that would ask them to draw on the readings, talk to each other, and really, show their developing knowledge throughout the class. So let's get to know each other a little bit better, especially in this online class. It's really important to get a sense of the other people in the class. Tell me about you. So this is one of their first moments to show me their introduction textually, and also to draw on those resources to show that they're orienting themselves to the content of the class. And you can't really, actually you can see the students' responses. You can see that we had a ton of responses. Numerically, we had 60-something responses where students were just talking back and forth to each other. And I inserted myself briefly in there, but mostly it was them. They took off and they really went with it. So one of the things that you can take away from IDL is that if you create a really good class, the students will fill it and make it wonderful. If you create that sense of community, they will often really go with it. So in the next week, I wanted them to do the same thing. I wanted them to create an instruction video, introduction video for themselves. And so one of their first assignments was create a video introducing yourself to me and to your classmates. Please feel free to steal this, modify it, and so on, because it worked really well, I think. And I'm going to be doing it again with all the other online courses that I teach. You might be thinking, well, what about technical requirements? What about accessibility? Those sorts of things. I built those into the way that the instruction video, the introduction video is put together, so I'd be happy to share this with any of you if you're interested. I gave them some specific constraints so that I would make it pretty easy for them, and I gave them lots of different resources on campus. So here's places that you can go to fulfill this, create your video. Most of these were very easy things that they could do on campus. So again, they went with it. In week 2, to create our sense of community, they had a share your introduction video discussion post. Last week you created this video, now share it with everybody. And I gave them very clear instructions about how to do that. If you need assistance, contact these resources on campus. And then choose at least 2 of your classmates' introduction videos to comment on here. So I'm starting to incorporate, how can you start creating discussion back and forth with each other. And again, they really went with it. So on this one, you can see we have 164 responses where the students were like, oh, you're planning a wedding? I'm planning a wedding too. That's really cool. We should talk. All those sorts of things that I could not anticipate happening, but because I facilitated a space for it to happen, it did with the encouragement of the instructor. So again, any of the ways that you can encourage this kind of community building. And this isn't to say that we didn't have a few little technical hiccups along the way, but we were able to solve all of those using the resources on campus. So, and the students helped each other out too. Like there was a moment where a student said, hey, here's a player that you can do. I was able to view the video in this way. So if you're worried about students being able to kind of take the technology and use it if they've never done it before, they are smarter sometimes than we give them credit for, I think. So consistency and clarity. As I go through the modules, I really tried to label everything as consistently as I could. You can see that everything's labeled with the name of the module. If it's a reading, it says read. If it's a video, watch. Every week the discussion posts were exactly the same in terms of the structure. It would always ask them to draw on readings and videos and experiences from class, and it would always ask them to be thoughtful, to create their own discussion question for response, and to respond to each other. Throughout at various moments, I encouraged them to tweet using the Twitter class hashtag, and again, they did. And so I think that the students really crave that consistency, and they crave the clarity because they want to know that things are pretty much going to be the same from week to week. So even if you change up the discussion questions, which I did, each week the discussion question would be slightly different, they would still know that it was always basically the same sort of excellent guidelines for a discussion post. It would always be at the same date and deadline. And they really did an excellent job of creating a community of students through the ways that they responded in the discussion posts. I also wanted this class, though, to, again, have a lot of sociality because it's a social media course. And so I incorporated a few things that I thought were kind of fun for them, and one of them was that meme assignment. So when you saw the internet meme that the student had put in the Twitter feed, that was actually an assignment a little bit later on in the course. So we had a week that was on virality and memes in social networks. And I asked the students to create an internet meme related to the class. And I linked them to an easy way to do that. There's a meme generator. In case you're thinking, how can I do internet memes? It's very easy. And your students can do it too. But chances are they'll run with it because they know how to do this stuff. And we had some great responses, and we had great internet memes. And students just really went with this again. And I enjoyed the materials that they put together. Some of them showed up in the discussion posts. Some of them showed up in Twitter. Some of them put them in both places. And they were pretty hilarious. So that's one of the things that I thought was kind of enjoyable for the students, was that they could, like this student thought it was just funny that I was asking her to talk about memes in professional writing. So she made Grumpy Cat as part of her meme. But it was an enjoyable thing, but it also taught them about the class. So if you can find ways to make things fun and content relevant. That's excellent. Similarly, I had them play social networking games, which you're probably thinking, how in the world would social networking games relate to class? But there's a lot of interesting work that's being done on privacy policies in terms of service in social networking games. And so what I asked them to do was read about some of those things, play a social networking game for a little while, like maybe an hour, and then talk about the terms of service that they saw, the privacy policies, things like that, in the social networking game that they played. And they came up with some amazingly interesting things in terms of how long they were, or how hard it was for them to find them. And so you can see that they're just responding back and forth to each other in these very detailed discussion posts. And I never told them it needs to be X number of words long. They really just realized that the excellent number or the excellent level of a discussion post really meant that they had to talk about a lot of different things as they went through. So we did some fun things. The introduction video assignment worked really well. Please steal that. Please borrow that if you like. The creating a class meme, or even just using Twitter as a communication tool, that worked really well for the students. And throughout, the consistency and the clarity of, every week something's going to look the same, and it's going to ask you to do similar things, but the approach is going to be slightly different. Worked very well for me. So I know that we're kind of close on time. I'd be happy to answer questions that people have about how I've set up class.
Is this on? There we go. Stephanie, if you would let Bill borrow the handheld mic, and you can use the mic that's on the podium in answering questions. We just ask that if you have a question, wait for one of us to reach you, because this is being recorded and streamed, and so without the mic, nobody's going to hear what you're asking. Thanks.
Wait.
What is the class level, sort of composition of the students that are in your class?
It's a great question. So this is a master's level course. It's a class of 19 students was how many is in that class. So it's a very small class, and because of that, that was really part of why I wanted to create the community. And you would think that it's easy to create community in a class that's that small. It would just automatically happen. But I've taught classes of 6 students before where we just didn't have that. So just automatically a class being small does not necessarily mean community will happen. I think that really has to be an effort on the teacher's behalf, and also to create a space where students are regularly interacting with each other. So as a master's level class, I could expect that the students were coming in with kind of some knowledge, but they didn't necessarily have any knowledge about the content or the field. And most of them didn't really have any knowledge about social media at all. So all this stuff was really new for them.
Do you have any tips in regards to making sure that when the kids interact with each other online, that they make their comments constructive, as opposed to, like, for instance, if you have a topic that maybe is a little controversial and they express an opinion, a concern that some student may say something that would be inappropriate or may, I don't want to say attack, but when they express their opinion, it comes off more as they're disparaging the other student as opposed to disagreeing with an opinion.
Yeah, I think that making that clear from the get-go, and I have it in my tips for online success, and I would suggest that you talk about that specifically with your students. Discussion guidelines. I hope that we will be constructive and that we'll have a positive learning environment, but please show respect for the instructor and for other students, articulate differences of opinion politely, maintain constructive criticism when working with other students. And I gave them some specific things, as you can see here, about respecting each other's ideas, being courteous, don't just post I agree, I don't know, who cares. And I would check in each week with the discussions as they were going, and I didn't respond to every single student every single week, but I would respond to certain comments that I thought were working very well or that were moving us forward in a good direction, and I would say, that's a great point, I really like what you're saying here, this is a good model of what I'm looking for in the class discussion. So early on I would say, this comment here is really a model of what I want to see you guys doing. I also did little video responses at points too to say, hey guys, as we wrap up this week, I wanted you to know that I saw your class discussions and here were some of the things that I thought you were doing really well, and next week I'd like to see you do X, Y, or Z slightly differently. So I think just reinforcing what's working really well, and then if something comes up that's not working well, talking back channel to that student if you feel comfortable, or talking in the discussion post if you feel comfortable, but really kind of nipping it in the bud at that point and saying, this is actually not really a good model. Remember when we talked in the setting up for the course that we want to be respectful of everybody. So that worked pretty well, I think, in terms of just saying, these are my expectations, and then reinforcing visually what I was seeing as I went throughout.
Stephanie, I have a comment on your guidelines. If I were you, I would ask Stephanie if you could borrow her guidelines, because these are better than what we give you in IDL 6543. So we might just ask her if we can borrow those guidelines.
You're welcome to. Yeah. And I knew because discussion was going to be such a major portion of my class that I needed to really scaffold as much as possible at the beginning, and also to set checkpoints later on to say what's really, working well.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned this class has 19. Have you done larger classes?
I have not, because in my discipline it's very uncommon to have larger than 25 students.
And here's the reason I ask is specifically because of your use of videos to create the community. I was considering the same thing, more or less like a scavenger hunt. At one point early on, each student would reveal an interesting tidbit about themselves. I collect chicken beaks or something of that nature, and then each of the other students may have to go and find out about all of their colleagues. But I'm wondering, I guess, at what point does that become ineffective? If you've got 30 students, that might work. If you've got 150, they're going to be online for the next week and a half. So I guess any guidance on that, or have you?
Split them into groups. I do a lot of group splitting, even in a small class like this. And so I have another class that's online right now, and students are working in small groups of 4 or 5 on editing projects. And so if you had a scavenger hunt just within a small group of even 10 students, let's say, and there's group tools in the web courses space, but you can even just tell students, I will put a page up and I'll say, you're working with these people. They're your group. And again, you'd think like, oh God, group work is terrible in regular classes. Half the time it doesn't work right. How will it work in online spaces? If you make your expectations really clear at the beginning, like you need to check in on this day, and then I check in briefly and just send a message to all students in the group and say, how are things going? It's worked well.
Good stuff.
So far, I feel like, knock on wood, everything I say is working well will be terrible next time I do it.
Any more questions?
Any of the muckety-mucks along
Anyone?
have questions? Well, that's what Max would call them, right, Max? They can park on the grass?
Go ahead, Linda.
Actually, Reed and I were talking about how you did the video intros. Actually, what did you ask them to do for ADA compliance?
So I had them do a script during the first week. And so Wendy and I talked a lot about this because it was going to be an issue having students do an introduction video but also having it be compliant. So normally you'd want to have your videos captioned, and we weren't really going to be able to do that with the quick turnaround, and having the students caption themselves was going to be too difficult. So what I asked them to do in the first week was to write out the script that their video was going to rely on, and then create the video separately. And then when they post, they have the video and they can upload as attachments, Word documents, and so they upload as an attachment their script. So it's not 100% perfect, and it's something that as I keep going, I'd like to figure out a way where students could caption it easily, or they could send it off to be captioned somewhere. But it worked, like 90% of the way, essentially, that if somebody did need to know what was being said in that video, they would have the time and they would have what's going on, basically a descriptive transcript, essentially. So yeah, if people who do this modify it in terms of the accessibility issue. That would be really helpful for me to know because I do want to keep doing this.
All right. Well, let's give Stephanie a round of applause. Thank you. And she graduated IDL in summer of 2013. So this could be any of you real soon. So we're at the showcase portion of the morning. Did you want to say something?
Can I just say one more,
Go ahead,
one more thing?
John, jump
Sorry,
in.
I'm going to pull rank on Ryan. I wanted to just say one more thing to just remind you that, so you've been through this whole program for the past 10 weeks. You've gotten to know your instructional designer probably better than anybody else. You've been exposed to other teams here within CDL, graphics team, video team. We've got a technical support group. We've got a research and assessment group. Don't forget that all of these resources are here after you walk out the door today. Because the only reason that the Center for Distributed Learning exists is to help you be successful teaching online. We view faculty as our primary customer, if you will. Really, we don't talk to students a lot, basically just through the technical support team. So we are here to help you, and we don't want you to get out there and feel like you're alone. Okay, I've been through this thing. It was just sort of this transactional credential I have to get. We want you to view CDL as a relationship. As you go forward teaching online at UCF, CDL is here to help you however you want. And even if you're not sure what that is, if you just come in with a problem, I've got this class, I used to be teaching 30 students, now I'm teaching 130 students, and my assessments aren't working anymore. We love those kinds of challenges. So bring it to us and give us a chance to try and exceed your expectations. So that was it. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Tom. So at the showcase portion of the morning, just a couple quick notes. If you are presenting in room 209, that has been moved to 210. All the times should be even correct. I think they're corrected inside your program. So just follow that. After you present today, everyone's going to get a special surprise. So, special surprise. And you'll be the first cohort that's received this special prize. So you'll see what it is. So we're going to go ahead and take about a 5-minute break. Everything starts at 9:55. There's refreshments right outside, right across from the break room. Try to be back in the room at 9.